Hello and happy new year. I am excited for another year and I wanted to really talk to you all and see if you've set any New Year's resolutions or intentions. If you are really feeling the momentum that a new year brings to make these drastic changes. And I will admit that I do have my New Year's resolutions. I pick a word for the year or two, and I buy into that all that hype. However, I've noticed that since really connecting with myself and the patterns that I've become more aware of, they don't really work, at least for me. And I don't want this to be discouraging, but I just want to share what I have found and how we can actually still use the momentum, but in a more aligned way with the seasons, with the planets to actually commit to these resolutions that we have. So let me know in the comments what your momentum is for right now and if you're feeling it. But also if you can relate to that hype only lasting a couple of days, a week, maybe two at most. And then we kind of fall back into our regular patterns and then forget about it until the next new year. So I don't want to be a Debbie Downer here. I'm just kind of bringing you the truth of how I've been seeing it and what I've noticed people talk about as well. There's a lot of this hype that once, January 1st hits, then we are going to drastically change everything. And, today I want to share why that doesn't really work in some cases. And first, I want to talk about like the first reason would be because we're still in the winter energy. We recently had winter solstice towards the end of December, and we're still with that connection to nature, with winter being more withdrawn and tuning inward. The plants and trees are dying. We are connected to nature in that way where we're hibernating in our own sense. So that's the time to do it. And just because the calendar changes to January 1st doesn't mean that we're all of a sudden going to be in this quote unquote spring energy of blossoming or summer energy of action and things like that. So that's the first one. Still in winter, it's still cold here in Texas. It's got even colder. It's been like sunny most of December, and then it suddenly started raining and everything. So that's one of the reasons. Another one too, and this is something that I notice, when we usually stay up really, really late for New Year's, December 31st. And I find it pretty unrealistic to go from most of last month and into November as well, all of the holidays with time off, maybe eating more of the junk food. I know I get more into the sweets and eating late, staying up late, partying, and all these things. So then we have the 31st of December where we stayed up late to welcome in the new year. And then maybe, I don't drink, but if you had a couple of drinks and maybe you feel a little hungover the next day, but then it's January 1st. And now it's like, okay, I'm going to do this yoga challenge. I'm going to do all the things that I haven't been preparing my body for up until now. So that's another one. I still did my yoga, but it did kind of get me a little bit. I did notice the first day was more of a like, I want to start off strong with day one. However, the night before I stayed up really late. So, we want to make these drastic changes, but we're not considering, the seasons and also like what our lifestyle patterns were the last few weeks. Right. So, I have been encouraging in these past videos to kind of stick to some type of minimal practice that you can stick to throughout the holidays. And if you definitely went on with that, then props to you. It'll be a lot easier to step forward into those changes that you want to make. So, I do want to say that even though these are my thoughts and observations for New Year's resolutions, there is still a way where we can use this energy, but also kind of use this more in a strategic way where instead of just saying, I'm going to do all the things now and make a drastic change, if you haven't done any yoga for the past few months and then all of a sudden want to do 1 hour every day or really push yourself towards doing something like that, I find that this time would be a lot more beneficial to use this time right now at the beginning of January to map out the year using astrology. This is, still that energy of reflecting where you can look at what the planetary energies are doing, when it's going to be a prime time for you to either launch a business or where there's more focus on your health and things like that. Maybe even moving, if you're planning on moving, then you can see where the energies are lying in your astrological chart and map it throughout the year. Maybe just pinpoint a couple of things, and also use this time to reflect on the dreams that are coming up and that have been coming up. Review past dream journals and see what was happening in the sky or at the time of that dream, especially if you're having reoccurring dreams, and take this as a moment to have like an inventory of your whole life. That's going to help you really use the energy of this winter that we're still in to reflect and kind of revisit what needs to be released from your life. Maybe some goals that you had that are no longer in alignment, you can move them. If there's areas in your life that you feel that are taking more, that you want to focus on more instead of doing all the things, see what is highlighted with the astrology chart, see what's really impacting you in your dreams, because that's a direct message from your subconscious. And you can use that time to reflect, create a little plan, and then do those resolutions, but in small bite-sized pieces. Because if you are wanting to do all these things, and let's say you did start strong January 1st, but then January 7th, you're already feeling like I use this like analogy a lot, like you're swimming against the current, right? That's not exactly how I say it, but if the energies here are inviting you to rest, the astrology is inviting you to rest. Pretty soon we're going to be in Mercury retrograde again. So that's inviting you to rest. And you are pushing forward, pushing against the current. That's what I usually say. Then, eventually it's going to catch up, and you're either going to be really exhausted trying to do this, or if you miss a day and then it progresses into a couple of days, weeks, and back into an old habit, then you're going to be more discouraged, as opposed to really having that big, clear vision and then working on one small thing that you can do every day. So maybe instead of a 1-hour class, you do a 10-minute flow and then work your way up. That can be more supportive than just wanting to make all the changes at once without considering everything else. So that is my recommendation. I hope this was helpful and not discouraging at all. I still am all for the New Year's resolutions and would love to know if you pick a word for the year and what that is. And definitely check out your astrology if you know how to read it. That's one thing that I cover. Well, it's one of the main things I cover in my Cosmic Dream Alchemy course, where the whole half of the program is about learning how to understand, read your chart, and look at everything that's happening around your chart and how you can work with that. So you can check that out and let me know in the comments what you're going to be working on this year.